public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets.
Obviously, Republicans, I think, are the biggest threat to democracy. We don't separate right-wing extremists and Republican Party anymore. Republicans, I think, are the biggest threat to democracy. We don't separate right-wing extremists and Republican Party anymore. Republicans are the biggest threat to democracy.
This means war. That is where we are. We are at war with these people. These folks are evil. These folks are evil.
These folks are evil, they say. I would like everyone to remember that video, those clips were pulled off of mainstream media. Mainstream media had Democrats saying that about you and me and Republicans and America 2 years ago. We are just now, as Republicans, as freedom-loving Americans, we're just now catching up to thinking about them. Now, I've called them evil, satanic, devilish, just awful fucking people for a long time. I've said they're the cult of death for a long time, but America is now starting to wake up and see, but they, the left, are 2 years ahead of us, at least. When they started verbally spewing that kind of shit. Understand, folks, you can't be nice to the enemy. You can't win them over with your love. Look what Charlie Kirk tried doing. He tried talking to them, being decent to them, giving them a chance to explain their retarded ideas. And what did they do? They all wished for his death. Then when he was assassinated, they laughed at his death. They make fun of everybody for believing that. They think we're the bad guys. They are way past saying we're a threat to democracy. They, the Democrats, are way past saying we're evil. They're now and continuing to say on social media that we need to be killed. All of us need to be taken and shot. Remember, years ago, folks, not hours or days or weeks, but years and years ago, Hillary Clinton called us deplorable, unredeemable. Right now in Canada, the government there is slaughtering ostriches because, well, that's what government does. It kills the things it doesn't like. Our government here, if it was run by Democrats, would have no problem saying, kill you, kill me, kill all of us. That's how they are. That's what they believe. I'm not calling for Democrats to be rounded up and thrown in prison. Yes, communists should be kicked out of our country because they hate America. And they are a domestic terror group, communists, because that's what communists do. They murder people. Over 100 million people have been murdered by communists. They've murdered their own people. Their own governments murder their own peoples in communist countries. And South Korea is about to learn a very, very, very hard lesson in reasoning. Because South Korea elected a communist government. And now the people there are a little mad, a little upset about it. Well, I don't know why or how, whether they cheated or the propaganda finally got to them or the economy is so bad they thought, well, let's try that thing. It's always broken and resulted in murder. Let's try it. The Democrats, folks, if 2 years ago they're calling us evil, and 3, 4, 5 years ago they're calling us deplorable, irredeemable, that we need to go to re-education camps, work camps, or death camps. Where do you think they're in their heads today? You better have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. You had best put together a plan because, folks, if it comes loose, if it gets cut loose, there's going to be hell to pay. Hell to pay. And you are responsible for yourself and your family because no one else is going to come to your rescue. Nobody. All right, folks, it is Monday. Shit has hit the fan. It is America. It is September 22nd. I sure hope you are prepared for what's coming next. We've got a lot coming next. Uman is in the house. He is the moderator. And get your questions, get your comments down below. We are going to continue to be shadow banned by all media, whether it's X or YouTube. We're all going to be shadow banned. So I ask you to thumbs up, be sure and share the internet address, etc., because it's time to keep pushing even harder to wake people up, because they're going to keep silencing us more and more. So let's get to a story here. What's going on out in the world today? Well, I've got a bullshit story alert. The Supreme Court lets Trump fire a Biden-appointed FTC commissioner. Really? A federal trade commissioner means someone on Wall Street's going to get fired? Well, only if the Supreme Court lets Trump. Folks, understand how we're being lied to, how they're trying to treat everything. The Supreme Court does not grant permission. It doesn't give permission. It doesn't give a license to act. All the Supreme Court can do is recognize authority. The media writers who wrote the Supreme Court allows Trump, lets Trump, right? They're morons who don't understand the principles of liberty and the principles of our national civics. Always, always think about what they're saying and how they say it to understand why they're saying it. The Supreme Court is continuing to put itself in a position to pretend like it is the supreme, what do we say, branch of government. Now, they were supposed to say we have a separation of powers. Authority is held in different areas: the legislature, the court, the president as an executive. They like to use the word separate but equal. They're not equal. They're not equal. Period. That is a misnomer. It sounds cute. We don't want to say the Supreme Court has no power, because it does. You can't say Congress has no power, because it does. And it seems lately the Democrats and the federal courts say Trump has no power. The president has no power unless the Supreme Court allows it. That's not how the Constitution works. The president is under no obligation to obey the Supreme Court if it's wrong. And I think we can all recognize when a court is wrong. We're seeing it all over the United States of America. These federal courts are always wrong and always being challenged and always being corrected. They're reaching beyond their power and authority, trying to stop the president. And they're being corrected only in a ruling, but they're not getting their fucking hands slapped. Folks, this is the type of shit that brings this nation, or any nation for that matter, down, is allowing the courts and the government this much authority. Right? If power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, let's move on to another type of story. A grotesquely fat high school football player is playing in a football game. He tackles the opponent. Someone who's supposed to be blocking tackles him. Then he gets up and intentionally jumps up in the air and flops down on the little guy. This is high school football. Guess what he did? He fractured the other football player's spine. Not once, but twice. In this viciously criminal assault that happened during a football game, was filmed by the mother of the student who had his back, his spine broken twice. And guess what? The high school athletic association has refused to discipline this criminal piece of shit. There's zero white privilege at play here, folks. I think the police need to see this footage. I think the parents need to press charges. Period. This is another example of a racial attack during sports, and it's no better than any attack in a dark alley. In fact, it's even worse because it's done out in the open for everyone to see. The play was gone away from this area. The play may have been done, and this big fat fuck crushes a smaller child. And when I say grotesquely fat, I'm talking Fat Albert looking stuff. When is this shit gonna end? Literally, when is this shit gonna? When are people gonna realize and accept there are certain people, certain attitudes, certain cultures, certain religions that are not compatible with a civilized society and a civilized nation, and that attitude that is uncivilized is incompatible with our laws and our culture. And we keep seeing example after example after example of this shit. What's the answer, though, right? Well, what are you going to do? Kill everyone, John? Well, there's answers out there, folks, and people don't seem to like them. There's answers, though. Let us continue, if we shall. Folks, an alien has been caught, and I'm not talking about E.T. or some little green guy. An illegal alien from another country was caught voting in federal elections. Good. Now, I think the entire election process can be fixed by requiring in-voting person and by stationing immigrations and customs enforcement agents at all polling places while voting. Illegals will not come and vote for fear of being arrested. We can save America, save freedom, save our Constitution by, well, protecting our elections and punishing criminals that get caught. We win coming and going. Why is this so difficult? Well, I do know that I was introduced to the concept of government will try and do everything incorrectly as a way to fix problems until they've exhausted every other thing. Then they can, they won't come around. They won't do the right thing. They could have fixed the monetary problem. They could have fixed our financial problems. They could have fixed our economic problems. We could have fixed unwanted illegal government interference from outside our country, right? Other countries interfering with us, but they don't want to fix it because they have too much money and too much power by allowing this shit to continue. Speaking of tracing or fixing the problems, how about tracing the money? Where did the money come from, right? Money that comes from non-government organizations, money that leaves the government, that goes out to USAID and other organizations. Why is our money, our tax money, being given away to cultural dance communities down in Colombia to teach transgender and drag queens how to properly dance? I mean, why are we spending money on that type of shit? In fact, we are promised that the Department of Government Efficiency would find out where the money's gone, get it back, and punish criminals, and they haven't done hardly any of that shit. Interestingly, at Charlie Kirk's funeral, Elon Musk showed up, and he and Trump had to sit down and to get together and spend some time with others around them. It looks like they might patch things up. Does that mean Elon Musk is going to be back in government? I doubt it. Because how long would he be there before he gets pissed off again and points out who the bad guys are and what they're doing? We never did get the question resolved. Is Trump in the Epstein files? And if yes, why? What was he accused of? What was the evidence around him? Right? What did he do? Anyways, this money that gets out there, Trump is saying he's going to discover who is financing Antifa, Trantifa, Democrats, everywhere, all of their violence. Who's financing the violence? And I say, this is bullshit. It's more theater. The FBI, the IRS, the banking system, they all know where money for Antifa comes from. They know who the sender is. Am I wrong? They know who the sender is. They know where that sender, they got their funding from. And they know where that sender that funded the sender that funded the sender that funded Antifa. They know all this. Stop talking. Stop threatening. Go make arrests. Government already knows who the bad guys. Their investigations are already done. In the old days, they would come out. By old days, I mean 20, 30, 40 years ago. And the government would say, we're investigating such and such. And soon we'll be making arrests. And then they would go actually arrest somebody. But what have we got? We're looking into it. We're making investigations happen. And then nothing happens. Crickets for weeks and months. Nothing happens. No fucking arrests. They won't even arrest bitches like Letitia James and that other bitch, Lisa, for mortgage fraud. An obvious crime to catch by reviewing documentation that they signed their name to, lying about the property, their income, etc., lying about it to get, well, money or save money or make money. They won't arrest them. They won't prosecute. In fact, we got more of the threatening and the bullshit from Trump. He's like, we're going to come after you all. Really? More threats, no arrest. Pam Bondi, you better get off your butt and do something. We're looking bad. Yeah, but still, did anyone say anything from Pam Bondi today about arrests? Real arrests? No, she put up more bullshit about arresting this or arresting that. Oh, and capturing illegal guns. She has a hard-on for guns. Shut the fuck up, you dumb twit, about guns. You want illegal guns? Go get all the illegal guns that Obama had his attorney general, Eric Holder, send to Mexican drug cartels who turned around and used them and came back up to our border and killed our federal border agents. You want some illegal guns, you dumb bitch? They're down there. Now, I tell you, I'm not going to quit, folks. We need to keep fighting and keep pushing. Write Congress, write the senators, write the president at whitehouse.gov and tell them to make arrests. I'm sure Pam Bondi doesn't like me a bit, and I don't care. I don't care. Why should I care what she fucking thinks? Right? What we want is a safe country for our children and our grandchildren, and we're not getting it because she won't do her fucking job. Unbelievable, folks. All right, let's get into this. Don Lemon, former CNN big shot, now a loser, nobody. Well, that's what he's always been, but no one's holding him up any higher than that. Don Lemon ran his little cock holster and said that everyone, the country, he's having a problem with this Charlie Kirk thing. He says that, quote, religious nationalism is on display, end quote. So he trashes the Charlie Kirk Memorial, and he's trashing the Christian messaging, which is not kill your enemies like the other religions have. The other religions say treat Gentiles, treat Christians, treat non-religious people, according to them, as the enemy. Steal from them, rape them, treat them like cattle, treat them like slaves, make them slaves. Steal their money, steal their property, screw them over. That's what the other religions teach. Christianity does not. It doesn't say lie and cheat and screw over the other religions because they're not good. Christianity doesn't say, well, we were promised the world, and so we're going to go take it from others, even if it means killing children. We're not saying that. We don't say go invade other countries and steal from the people and drive them out of their own fucking towns. See, there's a little difference between Christianity and the other religions. So Don Lemon tackles the problem by saying there's a religious nationalism on display. And you should expect this from someone like Don Lemon, these godless homosexuals out there. They hate you. They hate America. And none of this is going to end, folks, until one side is destroyed, and that's the side of evil. It's the side of evil. I mean, this is where we're at now. Both sides call each other evil. But can that be quantified? Can it be explained? Can it be proven? Well, I guess it just depends on what your religion is, isn't it? Isn't that ridiculous to believe that one side, is just fine? Not a problem at all. Go ahead and just kill everybody. And your God will love you for killing everybody. Crazy business, folks. Now, we've got a lot of shit going on. I hope you are ready. Have you got your questions down below into Mr. Uman? We got a lot to talk about. And I found this one fascinating for a lot of reasons. Remember, Trump went over to England, the United Kingdom. They held a royal banquet. But Trump said, no Sadiq Khan. He was not invited. And who is Sadiq Khan? He's the mayor of London, the Muslim mayor of London. And I say, well, good. Fuck that asshole. You know what he said? He said Londoners must tolerate terrorism because that's how big cities are around the world. That's the type of mentality that give up and create room for more evil. Right? That's how big cities are around the world, right? This sorry asshole was honest enough to say what he said. The actual thing that really makes sense, though, is, well, terrorism is a part of third world Muslim cities. And terrorism in big cities is a part of terror attacks coming from religious zealots who are Muslims. Folks, this war with Muslims, their sick culture, their perverted religion is going to take years or decades to undo and have them directly removed. Even the nice moderate ones, if they won't stand up and criticize their own people. Folks, there's a lot of Israelis. There's a lot of Jews out there that are criticizing the shit out of Netanyahu. They're criticizing the IDF. They're criticizing the war, the attacks on multiple countries. It's more than just Gaza and the Palestinians. So I appreciate that. I understand there's evil people within that government. But I'm not seeing that from the Muslims. You'll see it from Christians. Hell, Christians fight amongst themselves about who's even more holier than thou. Right? They have piety contests to see who can be the most religiously ridiculous by being the nicest. Now, watch me. I'm going to take a criminal into my house and I'm going to show them that I love them, and then they get killed. It's like, well, you were very Christian and very stupid at the same time. But it's the world we live in, folks. Too many people living in fantasy land. I don't live there. I know what the problems are. I know how the problems can be fixed. I don't have the authority to do it, though. Trump does, but he's not fixing the problems. Pam Bondi does. She's not fixing the problems. I mean, they're doing some good things here and there. Not really Pam, though. She's a piece of shit. Right? I'm sick of that little Barbie-looking wannabe clown who spends more time on Fox News than actually doing her job. She deserves criticism. She's earned criticism. To have all that authority and not use it to make America a better place. All right, let's continue here. Let's move over to the media. And this would be an accurate and timely thought. It was actually on Fox News about free speech. And the words that were spoken are, quote, "It's hard to take a lot of sympathy for the Jimmy Kimmels of the world when they finally have to live with the rules they wanted to create." Right? Well, what words, right? They want to cancel culture. They want to destroy lives. Well, one of the oldest expressions out there is live by the sword, die by the sword. And I think that we have now been shown the way. right? This has become the way we should fight back against anti-American Democrats, communists, and anti-American religious belief systems, right? Lying, cheating, stealing, bribing, extorting, and killing is not how you should live your life. But these Democrats, that's how they live. They want to destroy, they want to hurt, they want to maim, they want to kill, and they want to kill you. They even say so. Oh, you Christians need to die. Oh, you Republicans need to die. Oh, you patriots need to die. They hate us. It is not going to go away. It is not going to stop. They could only stop just for a couple of days after Charlie Kirk was killed. But they had to keep going. Well, I think one of the big moves that we should make is protecting our children. Right? That's what the family is about. That's what the mom is about, nurturing and raising the children. The dad is about raising the children, protecting the children. Communities are supposed to protect the children. Since when did the community turn into an organization that steals children from parents, indoctrinates their children into being subhuman? Folks, the shit is at the fan, and it's now requiring, right? The bad guys are requiring children to be turned into the enemies of their own families and parents. That's what the SHTF evil requirement is. So ours should be the opposite. The SHTF requirement should be to protect your children from all the enemies. And the schools are responsible for this. Well, in Tennessee, a school board is actually protecting children, folks. And how did they do that? I think this is important that I think all schools should just do this. The Tennessee School Board terminated their behavioral health provider. What is behavioral health? You can be criminal or non-criminal. You can behave or not behave. You can either sit quietly and learn or be totally disruptive in class. That's it for behavior. No SSRIs, no antidepressants, no ADHD drugs, no trans drugs, and no psychological terrorism coming out of the behavioral health provider. I think retaking our schools and retaking our government is not going to be easy. But understand this, if we can't just go take our schools back, it's because they're fighting us. We're at war with our own government. We're at war with our own schools because Democrats are in positions of power. They're liars and they use lawyers. War is never easy, folks. But we are at war. These people tell us they're at war with us. So what makes you think you're not at war with them? I think it's really pretty simple math in a lot of ways. They call us a name, you call them a name right back. Right? There's I can get all biblical. Yeah. Who are you to criticize me about the splinter in my eye when you've got a plank in yours, Mr. Democrat? Right? So Democrats accuse us of being violent, but look at all the violence that's committed. You right-wingers are extremists. Well, look at how extremist you guys are. You're burning fucking cities. You're attacking police. You're murdering children, literally. You're disfiguring children. You're maiming children. You're mutilating children. But you want to accuse us of being bad because we teach our children morality and decency. Understand, folks. Yep, there's lots of, if you want to use Christian belief systems to understand who they are and what they're doing. They're hypocrites, they're liars, they're thieves, they're murderers, period. All right. Well, it looks like it's time to switch over to you guys and your thoughts. I hope you've got some great questions down below because I want to hear what you're thinking after the weekend. After the weekend and the week is kicked off, what is going on in your world? Let's do it. Let's get in there. And I want to thank everybody for showing up at the zoo last night, Sunday Night Live. It's always fun and exciting. We get new people come on. We get people from around the world. Well, we used to get a lot more people from around the world. I don't know if governments are shutting down the United States or if they're just banning certain members of the United States, people like me and you who want to speak freely and actually say what we're thinking. Hell, in England, they're arresting thousands of people a day, punishing thousands of people a day for having their own independent thoughts. Hell, you don't even have to have a thought or express it. Now you just have to read someone else's thoughts they don't like. I imagine people could be arrested for reading my posts on X, Twitter. I imagine they could, because I don't say very nice things to assholes that are on there. Like Gavin Newsom, who is complaining, of all things, that right-wingers are taking over media. You know, cry me a river, bitch. I don't know of any media, hardly, that is right-wing. It's very few, very little, very far between. Mr. Ooman, let's have some fun. Who wants to step up? What are we going to talk about? And we can always count on the redneck roughneck. He says, I'm seeing all the demon rats are lockstep going after Tom Homan, saying he took bribes. Yeah, if there was any veracity to this story, as the current thing is, well, bring the receipts, right? Bring the evidence, bring the facts, bring some paperwork, bring something. Hell, bring testimony from someone else. But it's kind of like the Democrats are far worse than Republicans at this, and Republicans are not innocent. But it's called echo chamber and circular reasoning. So Democrat A tells Democrat B, Tom Homan took some bribes. So Democrat B tells Democrat C, Tom Homan took some bribes. Democrat C tells Democrat D, Tom Homan, director of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, he took some bribes. And he tells that to Democrat A, and Democrat A goes, wow, I was just telling someone about that, and you're telling me. We're all telling each other it must be true. It's bullshit. Because where's the evidence? You know, if Tom Homan is taking bribes, arrest that fat fuck, throw his fat ass in jail, and prosecute him. I've got no problem saying that. But if he didn't do it, he didn't do it. But that's what these demon rats are doing, is they create a very loud, sealed, enclosed, encased echo chamber, and they start yelling at each other until they whip themselves up into some sort of demonic frenzy, and then they run out there and they hit the media with it. They hit social media with it. I've seen it enough today. I'm waiting for the evidence. Someone could stand up and hold up a piece of paper and go, here's the evidence right here. I've got 10 witnesses, or whatever they're going to say, right? But they haven't even done that, as far as I know. Typically, it'll be some loud, fat, stupid motherfucker from Congress, some jackass pile of shit, you know, twig-thin moron who climbed out from under a rock. Someone, but where is it? In any event, you know, if there was, I'm sure Ooman would have sent it to me. I can pretty much guarantee that, but he hasn't. And anyways, thank you, Redneck. Yeah, let's keep our ears to the ground on this. See how this develops. You know, they went after Pete Hegseth, the former Secretary of Defense, now the Secretary of War. They tried getting him fired on rumors and bullshit. Right? Who else have they gone after? Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, she's not qualified. Well, she's gotten more done than anyone else in that fucking role. Who else is bad? Trump. Orange man bad. Orange man rapist. Orange man fraud. They can't make up their lies. They just trip over their tongue trying to figure out what he's done wrong so they can lie about it. So yeah, let's go after Trump now. I'm sorry, Tom Homan. They'll go after everybody. Anybody? Oh, well, RFK Jr. You bet they've gone after him. Have they not? You bet. Mr. Ooman, what do you want to do next? We've got Not a Bot H. Lynn. And she says, so I'm assuming Lynn is a a woman, but there I go, making assumptions. So tired of the pots calling the kettles black. Yes, they're hypocrites. They really are. I'm not perfect, far from it. I have been a hypocrite in my life. Sometimes I do it intentionally because I want to fuck with people knowing it's wrong. Nobody's perfect. But for fuck's sake, at least admit and know when you've done it. Right? Admit it. Admit your hypocrisy. These people can't. They can tell a lie and then tell another lie 180 degrees different. And they'll say both lies. That's the truth. They're an incredible pile of shit, these people. And they're not going to go away. They're not going to go away. When Muslims call people Islamophobes, no. It's one of the most ridiculous things. When people say someone's an anti-Semite, what the fuck does that even mean? You're anti-Semitic. It's bullshit. It's creating something to make you afraid, right? It's a pejorative term designed to destroy and shut you down and discredit you. Right? That's all these people do. They attack people and they actually project what they're doing, their crimes, onto everyone else. It's just, it's incredible. Let's continue. Thank you, H. Lynn. Mr. Uman, who's up next? We got Liberty Defender. Says, lots of chatter about 9/11 2.0 coming within the next several months. Yeah, one of the loudest people is Laura Loomer, who's an Israeli, who is pro-America, wants America to be strong, and wants America to get rid of all these stinking Muslims. She says they are going to be the ones who commit the next act of terror. A lot of people look at her and go, actually, it's going to be Israel that creates a false flag act of terror and then blames the Muslims for it. That's interesting. We've got something big coming. You can just kind of smell something's got to come. There's a lot of pressure out there, kind of like an earthquake, right? There's little tremors. There's a lot of pressure in the tectonic plates pushing, and finally something just gives, and we've got a giant earthquake. It's very similar to that. I think we're seeing small traces right now. This is interesting to me from the perspective of prepping and being an American. Is there's a pretty well accepted concept that when countries fail and economies fail, banks and governments go to war. They go to war because there's a problem with the system. Right now, I listened to an interesting fella. He wasn't American, wasn't Russian, wasn't Chinese. He's British. He's an actual diplomat. His name is, I think, Alistair Crook. In any event, he said, look, Europe is on the brink of insolvency, of bankruptcy, and of failing. And European nations are also looking at their own people as the enemy. I believe it was Boomer, our friend Boomer, who shows up on Sunday Night Live. He went over to England to participate in a massive protest they were holding over there. And the government is very afraid of its own people. Always be afraid of a government that is afraid of its people. England, folks. It's not a good place right now. They're on the brink of failure. Failure. As a consequence, they may pull a false flag. This whole idea of another 9/11 type attack, something so big and shocking, it shuts the world down. I think that is in the making. But I don't think it's going to be just in the United States. I'm thinking it's going to be a planet-wide problem. It could be a system failure in banking, could be a system failure in infrastructure, say electricity going out. We're going to find out what happens, folks. There's a lot going on, a lot of potential. And if you haven't realized and recognized now that it's not just the religions of the world that are corrupt and evil and fucked up, the government systems are as well. Like, communism is awful. Socialism is awful. Off the hooks. Fascism is awful. And governments will do anything they can to perpetuate and increase their power. Nothing scares them more than knowing that their power is dissolving because their system has failed. They have failed. And it's always better to blame somebody else. So get ready. This same commentator slash person, he also said that Israel is going to be done very soon. That they're losing support around the world for their efforts. They're losing monetary support, military support, emotional, psychological support. It's not that the wackadoo Palestinians are great people, but they are people. So look out. This attack and need and desire to destroy Iran is crazy. In fact, a lot of people, not all of them, but some, believe that the United States of America, through President Trump, he's actually trying to move away from Europe and England and wanting to align the United States of America with Russia and China. Interesting thoughts. I'm going to keep an eye on this and keep listening for information and evidence that might support that. The world is now in flux. The US dollar is no longer the world reserve currency because the BRICS are now using their cross payment system. They're not having to use the US dollar anymore, which is something most Americans didn't realize anyways. That system has failed and it's done. It's failed and it's done. The US dollar is the US dollar. It's still it's the prettiest pig in the pig pen, but it's not doing well. You would be, I think, and I know that I've taken my own advice. I think we're all best served by preparing for ourselves for serious emergencies. In fact, hospitals in Europe are all gearing up and being warned that we are going to war on a much wider scale. That just seems odd. Why would England need to gear their hospitals up? They're nowhere near Israel and Gaza or Iran or North Korea. They're nowhere near Ukraine. Right? Crazy world, folks. Mr. Uman, what are we going to discuss next? What's the topic? We've got Uman. He says Democrats are stomping their feet. They're threatening to shut down the government if they don't get their way. Well, I thought shutting down the government was bad and will destroy our democracy. You're absolutely right. If you shut the government down, it's going to destroy democracy. But they're threatening to destroy democracy unless they get their way, which is not democracy. You see, in democracy, majority rules. You have to have the majority to have a democracy so the majority can fuck over the minority. But when you're a Democrat and you're not in charge of the democracy, then you act like a bitch and complain you're going to destroy the democracy to save the democracy from those you don't like being in charge of the democracy, which is why we don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic. But this is the opposition intellect. They're a couple cans short of a six-pack. I don't think their elevator goes all the way to the top. They don't have both oars in the water. Their cheese has slipped off the cracker. The lights are on, but no one's home. These people are just fucking retarded. But they know enough. They know enough to destroy a country, a culture, a civilization. They know enough about the system and how to manipulate others to try and bring it down with riots that are not mostly peaceful, with arson that is not peaceful burning, with murder that isn't criminal. In fact, that stupid fucking bitch, Jasmine Eyelashes Ghetto Ho Crockett, says right? If you commit a crime, that doesn't make you a criminal. Say that 10 times in a row, and if you start believing it, you might need an IQ improvement session. But no matter how many times I've read it, heard it said, or said it to myself aloud, I don't believe that for a second. Committing a crime doesn't make you a criminal. It doesn't make sense. Shut down the government if they don't get their way. We're going to destroy democracy. Now, if you just take this concept, if we don't get our way, we're going to destroy everything. You know what that's called? It's called scorched earth. If I don't get my way, I'm going to knock the table off the board, right? Or the game off the table. They don't care. If they can't have their way, fuck everyone. They'll destroy it. Does that sound like a responsible perspective from which you should try and govern a nation? That's not how you govern a business or even your own fucking house. If I don't get hamburgers for dinner, I'm going to set the kitchen on fire. No. But hamburgers does sound good. Anyway, Zoo Man, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, incredible. Incredible. Notabot H. Lynn says, let them shut it down without pay, without taxpayer funding for food, lodging, travel, etc. You know, the problem is Congress always exempts itself from its own fucking rules. They pass a bill which they didn't read, which mandates the entire country get health care. You have to do it or they're going to penalize you. They're going to fine you for not obeying them. But the Supreme Court will call it a tax, which is also unconstitutional. Right? Taxes are supposed to be apportioned, not politically directed as a punishment. In any event, they didn't read the bill, but they exempted themselves and they exempted their staff. And then they said, hey, we got COVID and we've got, oh my goodness, the Jim Jones juice. Yay, way to go, Operation Warp Speed. Everyone has to take it, except Congress and their staff. They're going to shut down the government. They send park rangers home. We're going to send police home. We're going to shut down the Veterans Administration. We're going to fuck everyone over, but they're going to make sure they still get paid. See, that's the problem, is they're always going to pay themselves. They're going to give themselves the best benefits, healthcare for life. Redneck Roughneck says, all they ever do is let the non-essential employees draw unemployment and then get full pay when they pass a continuing resolution. If they are non-essential, then why do we keep them around? Oh, it's called jobs creation. Jobs creation. See, the government is the single largest employer in the United States of America. The federal government is the single largest employer. You know who comes after that? State governments are the next largest group of employers. You know who's next after that? County and city organizations, government organizations. The biggest group of this country of employees, government employees, city, county, state, and federal. And guess what they produce? Guess what they add to the economy? Not a fucking thing. They are all takers. But yeah, they're non-essential. You know what they do is they say, oh, you guys we'll shut the government down and we'll close the parks. Those are non-essential for the people. But guess what they did? They kept the park people on. That's right. They closed the parks. Fuck you, America. Close the parks. This is Obama. But kept the park rangers at work because someone has to make sure the signs are up and the park is still working on the inside. They just close it down for us. And we're going to send cops home. So it's a threat. So you feel unsafe. You feel like crime is going to go crazy. Well, I'll tell you what. I am damn glad to be living in Florida where the sheriffs in this state tell you to shoot bad guys. They come in your house, you blow them right back out the same hole they came in. Blow them right out the front door. The police and sheriffs, they're trying to say that I think the Brevard County sheriff, that this this big boss hog looking dude says, hey, you assault, attack, or try and kill one of my deputies, just be sure and let us know where your family lives so we can send your remains when we're done with you. I love that shit. Don't fuck with people. But that's what Democrats do. They want to make us feel unsafe. They want to take things away from us as punishment. They're like really, really stupid, shitty parents. Well, that's really what they are in all truth. All right, Mr. Who Man, let's continue. We got Rock Valley ready. And he says, Jimmy Kimmel comes back on tomorrow. Oh, yeah, because guess what? Turns out he wasn't fired. He was just suspended. Well, I'm glad they're bringing him back. Bring him back. Bring him back, Disney. Bring him back, ABC. Fuck, move him up into a better time slot. Continue to show us how worthless and what a waste of time it is to bother with network television, broadcast television, satellite television, because all these people have is political nonsense and horseshit. Continue to show the world how ignorant and stupid they are. I want Jimmy Kimmel to keep running his fat fucking soup cooler. He's a big pile of shit. He's a fucking political hack. He's an intellectual vagrant. Let him show the world that he has no couth. Right? My show is not about standing up and trying to entertain the average Joe. This channel, this show, us, is about waking people the fuck up and getting them to get prepared, showing them the ugly side of the world, which is now the majority side of the world. We're seeing ugly everywhere, folks. In America, in Israel, in Europe, in China, in Japan, in Australia, in Africa. The entire world is an ugly place. It's getting worse, not better. A lot of good things are happening, yes, but it's still getting worse. They want to bring Jimmy Kimmel back. He is a money loser. The amount of money they pay him and his staff, what they pay for the studio, is a joke because they don't get the advertising revenue. He costs them money. I would love to see ABC go out of business. They got a lot of pressure, though, from other communists, other socialists, other fascists, other scumbags, other evil people who were screaming at them, right? They lost billions of dollars in Wall Street or stock market value because so many people are pissed about Jimmy Kimmel. People sold their stock off because Jimmy Kimmel had a job. Then when he got suspended, people sold their stock because they're mad. Well, fuck Disney, fuck ABC. They're all, as far as I'm concerned, a bunch of worthless, dumb fucks. Kind of like a lot of these H-1B visa holders. These people that come from other countries. The big one, namely, it's in the news, is India. So this loophole is coming to an end. Right? If a company wants to hire one of these people, they have to pay the government, I think, $100,000. So they're saying, well, there should be a lot of openings in tech jobs. You see, these guys would come from India or Pakistan, come over, get a job, and then go fly back to their country and work remotely for American wages. Well, I think they're going to get rid of that shit. Now, this invasion by Indians, I believe, is part of a broader SHTF anti-American program to steal from us Americans, to impoverish Americans, and to fund anti-Americanism and terrorism through these internal support programs that are designed to remove us, right? And I think that reversing this H-1B damage is going to take decades. Now, if you work in a company that's large and has an HR department, my recommendation is to complain to human resources, complain to your management over everything. If you don't get a raise, you don't get a promotion, you should know it's because Democrats and foreigners will always, always screw patriotic Americans, especially white Christian men. And they'll always promote themselves, a minority, a person from another country. And it is a sad but true story. Sad but true. People are going to have to find out the hard way if they haven't figured it out already. But I recommend always complaining. Right? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, I guess there's only a couple of ways to do it. Now, I want to finish up the show. And Uman may have another quick comment at the very end. But there we are. Crazy day in the precious metals market. Today, silver hit a new 52-week high, rose to $44.40. That's over 3%. Gold hit a new record high, closing up 2% in one day. This isn't 2% over the year. 2% in one day. Regular stockholders are happy to get 8% in a year, in a whole year on their stocks. 4 days like this, folks, in gold. Kind of blows that shit out of the water, doesn't it? Well, $37.83, almost to $3,800 an ounce. Right? This is an ounce of silver. An ounce of gold, almost $4,000. Once you pay the premiums, you're going to be closing in on that. Premiums, right? When this was sent to me, silver was $20 an ounce just a couple of years ago. It is more than doubled now. It is more than doubled. All it's done is sit on the Prepared Mind desk. It did get a trip over to the RMZ, out to the jungle, but it's just sat there the whole time. Crazy business. World War III, folks. In Ukraine, their military logistics, their supply lines are completely being obliterated by Russian drone attacks. Think about it, folks. After 3 years of war, Russia has observed all the logistical activities of Ukraine, NATO, England, Poland, the United States of America. They've watched it all. They trace movements. They know schedules and timing. And they're now using Ukraine as a military training tool. I mean, Russia has satellites. Russia has high altitude planes. Russia has spy planes. Russia has spy networks. Russia sees everything Ukraine is doing. So they're bombing trainloads of shit coming in, military supplies and hardware. They're going to bomb everything, highways, bridges. Why wouldn't they? I mean, because every shipment of weapons, ammunition, equipment that comes through is going to be used in an effort to kill the Russians. So why wouldn't they? But after 3 years, you think Russia doesn't know everything about the way these people operate? Some crazy business, folks. Everyone in these governments, they're just fucking lunatics. I pray for peace and I prepare for shit hitting the fan even worse. I hope you're fully prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. If you're not completely prepared, go to the preparedmind.club. It's not a store. It's a series of links to send you to places where we've discovered some good items. Get prepared. Because at some point they could pull the plug on us. They've done it a few times already. Oh, sorry about that. There's no meat in the stores. Whoops, sorry about that. No electricity. Whoops, sorry about that. No law enforcement. Oh, by the way, the border's open and we're inviting in every known fucking terrorist and rapist on the entire hemisphere. They don't care. When it comes down to it, the government really doesn't care about you. So care for yourself and those that you love. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours.